Okay, guys. It's all dialed in. Take a nice deep breath in. And hold. And out. Okay, now we're going to do a long inhale. In. Hold. Breathe out into your heart. And in. Hold. Out. Okay, now we're just going to cleanse all energies that have finished serving us. Ask that only the energies for Aries be in the space now. This reading is obviously for you, Aries, and we ask that it be to the Most High, to the space that we need to hear, and allow us to anchor in the highest vibrations and frequencies for the coming year. Okay, that should do it. Cool. Okay, so Aries, how are you guys feeling? Ooh, a bit slower than what you normally are. That's okay. It's alright, it's a new year. New year, new you, you know. So every day it sometimes seems to be a bit of a new you, which is completely brilliant. One of the things I love about Aries, and got an Aries moon myself, so it's a fast one. But yeah, guys, so just a reminder, these readings are to help catalyze and bring in the most high divine and enabled and capable parts of ourselves. Able and capable. We're finished being enabled by others, and now we're being capable in ourselves, and we call that in. And ask that all those that resonate and can take benefit, benefit, enjoyment, and catalyzation. I really like the word, to be sparked anew through these readings, to find them, and to be guided to them and held in and through them. And that it really helps you fly into the new year as you realize the unity that you are a part of, and how it is that your unique expression of self is actually what it is that you're here to give to the collective, So guys, we are using, as always, the Itongo Landile. It's a Zulu tarot for transformation. It's a South African one. I am South African. It's quite a brilliant one. Let's just... So we're coming out of a space of isolation as a collective. Let's see what space it is that Aries itself is idealistic. So, this idealistic does have two parts to it. It's kind of like a kite that you use as a means of being able to bring yourself in. And yourself, I mean, all of like yourself, your own unique expression. And a part of that is in the way that, if you're traveling along a straight line, if you're starting here, you're wanting to go there. You want to make sure that every event you do is in alignment with that. Now, because of the way we as humans work, every time that we look, event 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, we're going to look and say, is it matching up to what I was expecting? And now the key thing with it is, because of our mind, which is what we're actually using to look at it and see if it is or isn't, asks, well, is it? Was it? Will it continue to be? What do I do if it isn't? And then, gosh, did I mess up? Until eventually it's, oh, I'm here. Which is actually then that. But you see, if we keep asking and asking and asking, we keep getting more asking, which is good. But we're wanting to also see that the way that we're framing that journey is towards accomplishing our goal. So we know that even if, something happens, we move from the 0 to the 1, something happens, we know that we are always going to come back to the 0. So, oh my God, I started something, it's not quite going the way I expected, but that's okay. It's actually delivering the message in the exact way that it needs to be delivered. Cool. Come back to a reset point, from there we moved back, because now we have the space to move back to, okay, cool, so how do we work with this? How do we serve it? And this is where, an idealization, because we can also have idols, you're wanting to have that idea of something that you're working with and for. I like to think of it with our parents. Not everyone has good relations to their parents. I think even those with good relations don't always actually have good relations. They just recognize the benefit of it. 0010110. So here we've got like a nice little bite. Not actually a bite, because it's not actually 8 pieces. But, so this right here is a good way to move through it, because you see that you're going to have an emptiness. From your emptiness, you're going to continue to be empty until it is that emptiness recognizes its emptiness, which is in turn something. Now from that, it's like, okay, cool, I'm something. What else can I be? I can be nothing. Cool. So then if we're going to be nothing, then we can see the relationship, how it is that it actually looks, and how it is that then continues to be, and what that forms as a shape. It's basically like a bridge. So essentially, if you've got a problem, look at the problem. Once you start seeing the problem, know that you also have the solution, because you have the problem. Beauty of life. So you're then going to want to go ahead and start building. You build with whatever you've got in whichever way you can, and you move forward. Once you've moved a little bit forward, you'll realize, oh, this is actually the part that kind of starts connecting to the other piece. And I just got to kind of work the system a bit more. It's very much a case of this year, it seems that you are going to be working with, the waters of life. And as a fire sign, those waters can sometimes be a bit in opposition to the way that you actually, maybe want to move. But you must also definitely remember that it's definitely a good way to move. And of course we have suffering, which is 6 of Swords. And now remember, suffering is 2 parts. Sometimes it's, a bad situation and you're wanting to leave it. It's a good time to leave. It's not running away, but liberating yourself. But sometimes, we've just got to feel into the things that are difficult and realize, like, okay, cool, sorry about that little camera shake, guys. It's actually time for us to go ahead and put aside the forefront of our thinking and feeling and be like, you know what, I'm going to move through this because that's what I decide to put in my box. That's how it is that I'm going to live, because I am a winner. And a part of that means that it's not always going to look the way we expect, because as we move through all these points, it's a mountain. It's mountainous. It can be treacherous. It can be like feeling like we're in the jaws of life. But within that, there is divine order. It's chaos. It's, the golden thread. But as we learn to be okay with whatever is happening and express ourselves, because remember, suffering also wants to be expressed. Yes, there is wanting to, grin and bear it. But in all of this, you see there's this magical little wave function, which is sometimes really difficult to keep up with, and it comes really close, and we can very much fall off the bandwagon just like that. It's super easy to kind of just get a bit knocked and be like, oh my God, what I do? And you give yourself that little moment, because it's a moment of being little. And from there, you can then start to say, okay, cool, but let's see, we've got all of these little points where we can actually realize just how big we are, and how, much more I am than what I thought. And even here, and it's not to say, okay, I've got to have this part or that part to help me. It's to know that I am as I am, and as a result, I always have the parts I need. And it's just starting to allow yourself to become aware of them, and also to work with yourself and others, because I know that it can be really easy to basically just completely, disconnect from people and the ways that it's maybe wanting to work or to show up. But sometimes surrendering the things you really don't want to surrender allow you to actually start showing up in your world. There's a little feeling of, wanting nice things for yourself isn't the worst thing, but sometimes they can bring some problems in themselves. And it's looking at what the smallest sorrow is now and how to kind of actually work with what the smallest thing is in every point. Look, obviously, like exercise, good thinking and things like that, because you're wanting to, make sure that you're healthy and using your life in a way that's beneficial. But, work with what you've got. Okay, let's give it a little shuffle. Oh, we got on the bottom of the... Oh, 2 from the bottom. Okay, let's see. So we got the Emperor in Lovo, which is an elephant, as we can obviously see. So we've got, being careful not to have your strength underpin, like for your strength to come from a space of sorrow, and to instead remember to feel into the excitement of life, to know that there are reasons to give yourself the compassion that you're probably oh so good at giving to other people. And also allowing others to actually be compassionate towards you from afar. Oh, let's just move that one in, because that's also very, very important. Learning to give and receive energy with people in not just the, physical space. Because physical space is great, but if you're always needing to give energy in that way, you're kind of missing out on a large point of what it is that we're almost here to learn. And that's truth, Now remember, there is absolute truth. But my truth and the way I perceive that truth could be completely different to your truth. And that's kind of the whole point of it. I feel that, the way that I'm going to look at this and think, oh, it's like an alien bringing us information from above, and it's giving all these codes that we can then go ahead and integrate and be like, okay, cool, sweet. We've got a 2-5, which is a 7, which provides us the opportunity to start building with ourselves. So it's the way that I see and interpret life is always going to be different to the way that you do. But it's not to say, oh, someone is right or wrong, but to instead be like, okay, cool, I'm inspired because of that. And through that inspiration, I'm going to allow myself to look outward and know that all of the things I'm seeing are just there for me to learn more and more about my present reality. And that is unique, and that's kind of the whole point. Oh yeah, guys, so these drawings are also light language encoded. So whatever you need is the intention of it is for them to be able to pass along to you in whichever way you need it, pretty much. Plain and simple of it. Oh, let's just make sure I don't get too much marker in the cracks of this. But anyway, sorry guys, getting a bit distracted as I do. But the easiest way to contact your truth is to look at what grows when you go ahead and give yourself the emotions that you are always resentful towards, or basically struggle to feel compassion towards. So for me, for example, that's in expression. And it's hilarious because my moon is in Aries. So my expressive side is very emotive. My emotions are fast moving. They're very in your face. I fall in love with people, or I start feeling things for people very, very easily and very, very quickly. And it's amazing, but it also does lead me to certain levels of suffering internally, because there's this part that wants to see the ideals of the world and actually attach all of those to myself. And it's then learning how to move through those with excitement as I reconnect to my truth and what feels truthful to me, and not just this thing of oh, I'm this human and I'm going to do taking it to a broader frame and being okay, beauty of life and the energy that we all are from this one beautiful, incredible source, however you want to see it or imagine it, please move through me and allow me to see the divine song that is living in and through this universe, so that we can be able to actually start bringing that into the forefront. Please guide me towards the people, the relationships, and the expressions that allow that to come forth most audibly and integratedly, so that can actually go ahead and be true, not just for myself, but for all others. And I can be a piece along the path, as we were saying over here, that allows all of us to find this pathway inside for us to share our song. Because that is the most beautiful thing I think we can do, is to share our song. And also, very important to remember, your song is not just the music. I mean, if we look at light language, tongues, all of these incredible modalities, it's not just musical, it's vibrational. It's this feeling of, oh my gosh, it's birthed into this world and see. And then, we'll do the very best we can until we know better. And when we know better, we will do better. And that's a very, very important way to live, I feel, because it's giving yourself the opportunity to live as a human being. Okay, let's put some labradorite in here. Okay, just to, live and then recognize the, the golden age of life, the magic that shines through the looking glass when we allow ourselves to see. And that's also what we were saying here is, if you're looking magically, if you're looking for the opportunity to see, and I catch myself with this a lot when I walk into a shop and am I going to find what I need? Is it going to be the right one? It's so funny that it comes into a shop, but I look at it and I see, well, if I need it, it'll be here. If I authentically need it, and not just like, oh, I want this one because I need this chocolate bar. Oh, yummy. But instead looking at it and being like, okay, there's this thing that I'm really wanting. And I know that life is magical enough that I'm somehow going to experience it. So, for example, I went to get insulation tape. The first shop I went into, I was like, it'll be so cheap, it'll be great. I was like, that's way too expensive, guys. I could totally do it, but, it's just not right. When you know your prices. So, that was basically the short of 444, 1644, which reduces to 444, guys, if you do 24-hour time like I learned. But it came from not giving up, and that's what Aries, I feel, is such a core value of it. It's there's so much energy and there's so much fast motion, but there's also so much zest for life that regardless of what happens, you're still going to go ahead and be like, I'm excited for it because fuck yeah, and that forms the ever-growing energy, that ever-growing energy that feeds itself. And it's sometimes, like for me, for example, the subconscious kind of feeds more than the conscious. So it feels like for me there's more under the surface. But that's obviously different for each person. And I don't think it's meant to be the same. Because that's where we start finding the way that we want to move. Oh my gosh, I need to get a new one of these perhaps? I don't know. Anyway. And that's where we then start finding what our path is to actually start recognizing some of these pieces out of the game. And that can be past lives, it can be, and angelic helpers, it can be ascended masters, it can be prophets, it can be, just that one guy, Tim, and whatever it is for you is for you. You don't need to justify yourself or anything. And in fact, I almost challenge each and every one of you to try and find ways to actually speak and live as in tune and collectively open as you can, which is to say, how can you best, how can you best allow your excitement to help mold your own and other people's frames, in a way that it's not, sectarian is the best word, it's not light language or tongues, it's this transmission of love, because everyone loves. No one person should really technically go ahead and say like, okay, this transmission of love, I'm going to close myself off to, because fuck you, But we do that as human beings because we get taught to, we go through bad experiences. It can be really difficult and we can experience all the suffering, or we might have idolized too much, so now there is a certain balance element of it. But it's finding that internal compassion to be truthful with ourselves and know that we are enough, even when we experience rejection. And the only way we can really hurt ourselves is when we reject ourselves. You might have certain elements or things coming up or popping up or being present in the space, whatever it is. But it's learning how to... Well, let's just pop this here. It's learning how to... It's learning how to be okay with those and know that even if those have arisen, it's not the end of the world. And I say end of the world because I know my brain has a tendency to have very like flowery language with, oh my god, this happened and it was the worst thing in the world, and now, like all of that. So we're just putting a little bit of tensoring down just to energize the whole thing. So what this is going to do is going to energize all of these things, and we'll actually even make some space. Move sorrow up, make some more space for excitement. Go ahead and start leading this in. So that from this merging point, there we go, we can get all of the magic of life moving and grooving. Don't know when you guys last went ahead and finger painted, but I would highly recommend it. Seems like there's something that you guys need to do that kind of just puts you in touch with your inner child again. Just something just to like get back into your senses. And, you know, remember that can also be something divine. So after all, when you're doing things like that, you're actually wanting to remind yourself that you're very close to God. And as a result, you can always actually create from that space. And the more you allow yourself to do that, the easier it becomes. I think we got 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're going to do an 11 card. Yeah, so the current space that you're in is learning to respect yourself and your suffering. The idealism that comes from this, and more importantly, the journey of reconnection, of knowing that things can be very difficult, and it can almost feel like they're not connecting or moving forward with maybe the speed that you're always used to, because maybe it gets very fast and then it gets very slow, and then it's like, oh my god, maybe I should just stop what I'm doing. And it's actually just asking that you kind of just give respect to the process, because the process and what the process is really birthing is a very, oh my gosh, a very, what's the word, forward moving and forward thinking process. It's not one that's meant to happen bim bam boom. It's meant to slowly take shape, unfold, and begin to actually make sense. And that's where the respect comes in, because we respect what it is that takes time to build, because then through the building of it, we learn just what it like cost in a way. And that's also a case of doing things properly. I just want to see about fixing this. And let's see if we go ahead and just pop it like, there we go, I think that works. Almost. And that's also a part of, you know, looking to adjust perspectives. You know, take some time, drink some tea, read a book, you know, really like whatever kind of allows you the space to open up, because it does feel like there's a lot of your current blockages that are wanting to be processed and released just by you actually kind of reading your own your own encyclopedia, your own book. No one else can give you the access to your own heart. But once it is that you start allowing those strings to speak, they naturally start healing, cleansing, clearing, and giving you the space and opportunity to actually excitedly move through your life, because you start remembering the truth of why it is that you would go through all the sorrow and suffering, and still choose to come back with the ideal outlook on and for life. And that's, you know, that's infinite. Okay, we're going to go ahead and see about one more card, please. Cool, let's see. And then we've got the Wheel of Fortune. And this is this time is one that's been working and worked for a very long time. There's a golden thread that's really holding it all together, and it's magic. You know, that's the magic of love and life. And as a result, you can release your worry about it. And instead, you know, really just know that you're currently mobilizing everything in the circle that you're currently living in and working with, so that you can actually then step into that flow. And that's why it can feel a bit stuck. It can feel like the excitement's started, but like there's just such a journey towards getting it to the end. But respecting your excitement, and respecting the fact that shit, even after everything you've lived through and survived, or like your fucking bagel wasn't as good as you thought it would be, and they fucking wouldn't want to, you know, help you out. Like, what the hell? You know, that's okay. Things are going to happen. We're going to get tested. We're going to go through trials. We're going to go through all of this stuff. And it's going to be okay. You know, it's really going to be just okay. In actual fact, it's going to be a lot better than okay. There's just a current process that's being moved through. And, you know, look for the beauty in life. It is there. I know it can be really difficult. And sometimes when we're looking at the beauty, we actually just see our own lack of perceived beauty in ourselves. And that I find to be really difficult, guys. Oh my gosh. But it also reminds me of the fact that most of the things that I tend to, you know, not like about myself when I see the same with others, it tends to be some of the the actual best parts about them. It's just their themness. So don't live life in such a way that you forget that you're alive and that you deserve to have love, and as a result, take action towards it. And I'm speaking to myself here as well, because it can be really, really easy to just not. And then that excitement dies, and then it just leads to more suffering and sorrow and rejection, because you're rejecting yourself. Well, I was rejecting myself, and you know, if you're going to get rejected, at least get rejected by the other person and not by yourself. I think that's just good. So we're gonna leave things as they lay, because it's actually alright as it is. But we are going to take the energy up and say thank you, thank you, thank you. We ask that all of this energy be packaged in a way that it can be very easily received and actually recognize that it's already there and taken in by each Aries individual and people resonant to them, because hey, you guys can carry the codes as well. And then take all of that up and transmit from my heart all the way to theirs. And say yes, receive, open up, and there we go. I trust that you guys are going to have an amazing time. You're welcome to check the page out for any rising moon, any dominant placement sign that you're wanting to check out. As always, take what resonates, leave what don't. But there will always be a bite of something for you somewhere. What I like to do is open up in 3, 6, 9, and just get those little bits of integration starting to happen, and just listen. I mean, listening to the points that if you click 3 on a computer, I guess you can't really do it on a phone, but a third of the way, a sixth of the way, a ninth of the way. Or 3/10, 6/10, and 9/10, I guess, more accurately. But yeah, guys, check you soon.